Hey, what's going on, guys? Me, Mortimer here, and, yeah. I am currently filming this using two separate tripods, one for my light and one for my phone, since I took my table outside with me so I could do, like, maths work whilst chilling in the sun. And then I realized that they're making service changes in Fife, so I came through to my studio to do the bus news intro. And then I remembered that I need my table to hold my phone and light up. So I've got one broken tripod that I've sort of got mounted on like a shoebox. And then I've got another tripod holding my phone up. Anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna get into covering these service changes. So yeah, let's get started. So a large thing with these service changes is that various journeys on weekday afternoons are getting withdrawn. And the reason for that is, well, I'll explain that in a bit. But yeah, the 3 and 4, interestingly, are some of the routes getting this changed. I'd have thought they'd maybe go for a route that uses double-deckers instead of the 3 and 4, since they use the fairly small E200 EVs, which, again, this will make sense in a bit. But I guess whatever works, really. Now, this makes sense to me, as someone who frequently takes the 7 and 7A through Camden, despite the fact that I do not live in Fife, I live in Edinburgh. I do think this makes sense, as during the day, in my experience, it is kind of tedious to get the bus through Camden, just due to the way that cars are parked, so I can only imagine how bad it is once everyone's getting home at like 10 p.m. at the latest or whatever. So yeah, this makes sense. What I'm curious about, though, is whether or not the 7 and 7A will instead then just run direct down Queensferry Road, completely omitting all of the west of Scythe, or if they'll continue down King's Road so that it's still serving Park Road. Either feel plausible, however, I'm more inclined to believe that they'll probably do the former, but I wouldn't be shocked if they do the latter as well. I am sure that the residents of Cowdenbeath are simply thrilled about the early start of the 31 from Cowdenbeath instead of Lochagelly. I'm sure that one journey is going to greatly impact the town in a positive manner. Yeah, this doesn't shock me. The M36 leaves Newborough like 5 minutes later, and that also goes down to Glenrothes. I guess if they're desperate to go to Glenrothes at that time, it's only like 10 minutes longer on the M36 compared to the normal 36. This ties into the thing with the 3 and 4 I was mentioning earlier. I will appreciate anything that makes the 89 more reliable. Trying to get it in Dunfermline is such a pain in the ass because it's always like 8 minutes late at least. Now I'm guessing on Sundays there's going to be a circular leaving St Andrew's bus station every 20 minutes as opposed to every 30, which honestly is fairly good. I guess now that there's the 90C and 90D, it kind of makes sense that they would divert the 95's Madras journeys to do a slightly different route, since that accommodation is already served by those two routes. I'm interested to see the new 787 timetable if it's taking over the overnight journeys on the 747. I assume it's going to follow the normal 787 route down to Edinburgh Airport from Holbeath instead of following the 747 route, because I think if they didn't do that, they'd probably just make the 787 end at Holbeath Park and Ride and have passengers switch onto a 747 from there, because, you know, that makes more sense, but still. Bit curious as to what they mean by AM journey, since the X22 isn't a peak time service, it runs hourly throughout the day. I suppose it's maybe like one journey a day from Stirling will just omit Shilling Hill, and not it just completely omit Shilling Hill until before midday, because that would be weird. It once took my X27 4 minutes to round the corner to the Kincardine High Street stances because of one parked car. I am completely in favour of them stopping on the Great North Road as opposed to the High Street. Wait, no. It's the North Approach Road. Great North Road's in Newcastle. It does surprise me that they're withdrawing the X52 instead of the 5, but it's interesting, I guess. Especially considering they're not making any timetable changes to the 5. Oh well, I suppose the buses up to Ferrytoll Park and Ride are every 5 minutes or so at peak times, so what does it hurt? And yeah, these two changes here also probably tie into the thing that I've yet to discuss. And that's all the changes. In my opinion, I am fairly lukewarm on these changes. Like, stuff with the EP52, that makes some sense to me, and the EP24 and EP27 I am in complete favour of, especially since the EP24 is still going to stop at Clushford Toll, guys. But yeah, most of this is just random afternoon journeys getting withdrawn, because, drumroll please, Stagecoach are closing their Camelon depot in July, so next month. And because of this, the school runs that are being run from Camelon are either being sent off to other operators, or they're going to be run out of Dunfermline, Glenrothes, and Aberhill, hence all these cuts. The one that sticks out to me the most is the fact that they're cutting the 249 and 315, 3 and 4 journeys, since that's probably to accommodate for school routes. Yet the 3 and 4 use like the 10-meter E200 EVs, which isn't great for a school bus, considering, you know, out of the few school routes I've been on, they're absolute travesties. But yeah, Camelon depot closing means that I think Rennie's is probably just going to come under the Stagecoach specialist branding or whatever now, and be run from like Glenrothes and Dunfermline and stuff. And the school routes, as I literally just said, are being run from Glenrothes, Dunfermline, and Aberhill now, instead of just Camelon and Aberhill. This isn't the only part of Stagecoach that's being closed over this summer, though. Stagecoaches, both Dumfries and Stranraer depots are supposedly to be closed, with the only routes left in Dumfries and Gaggleway being run by Stagecoach being the 79 and X74. So yeah, this means that Glasgow and Carlisle will have better links to Dumfries than a lot of the places in Dumfries will. This is due to the fact the South West Trans contract stuff ends on the 3rd of August this year, so from the 6th of August, Stagecoach have just decided to bail. But I am sure that DCG buses and Houstons of Lockerbie will be desperate to scoop up some of these contracts and what have you. Anyway, going back to areas I care about now, Alexander Dennis are considering, and if not, planning on closing their Camelon and Larbert depots in Scotland, which will make roughly 400 employees redundant, which is, I think, about a fifth of the company's total employee count. Manufacturing will now primarily be done in Scarborough in North Yorkshire, though this will probably be a huge blow to Falkirk's economy and stuff. It's also going to be very sad for me, because I like going and looking at the buses they have being manufactured at the Camelon site that are just parked up for, like, Merseyside in the case of last time I was there, but there's stuff for all over, like Reading and what have you. Anyway, that's all I have time for today, so I am going to go die in a hole. I shall see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves.
Ah, you bastard.